What's going on, everybody? Thanks for checking out the Among the Ashes podcast this week. We're your hosts, Wes, Chris, and Marcus. Before we jump into tonight's episode, we want to take just a minute and say thank you to each and every one of you guys that's been following along with us so far. It really does mean the world to us. We really, really do appreciate it. If you're checking us out on YouTube, if you don't mind, go ahead and hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, leave us a comment. We do want to hear from you guys and get some feedback on the show. And don't forget to turn on the notification bell so you can stay up to date on new episodes. When you're done there, if you don't mind, jump over to one of these platforms: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, or YouTube Music, and give us a follow there. This helps the show to grow as well. That's true podcast platform. You don't get the video, but you do get the audio, and you can download an episode for whenever you don't have a chance to just sit and watch it on YouTube. Also, if you don't mind, share the show with your friends and help us to get out there to the masses and tune in every Thursday morning at 9 a.m. Central Time, with the occasional bonus episodes on Tuesdays, also at 9 a.m. Central Time. Lastly, if you would like to be a part of the show or you have a show idea, shoot us an email at amongtheashes@yahoo.com, or you can jump over to our DMs on Facebook, TikTok, or Instagram, all searchable by Among the Ashes Podcast. So now that all that's been said, let's get into tonight's episode. What's going on, everybody? Thanks for checking out the Among the Ashes Podcast this week. We are your hosts, Wes and Marcus.
What's going on, my buddy?
What's up, brother? Glad to have you back in the studio. You turned into Chris on me.
No.
For the last few weeks.
Just incognito one time.
Yeah.
I'll never hear the end of it.
Yeah. He was here.
Put me in the same category.
Yeah, I did some fancy editing. Was what I did. I put a green screen up and then I muted his mic. He was here. You just didn't know it. So before we get into all of that, if you guys are checking us out on YouTube, if you don't mind, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, leave a comment, turn the notifications on so you know whenever we update, which is typically every Thursday morning at 9 a.m. And if you're checking us out on a podcast platform, that's any major podcast platform: Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, YouTube Music, anywhere you can find us. Search us Among the Ashes Podcast. Go ahead, give us a follow there. Leave us a comment. Leave us a 5-star rating if you don't mind. That would really help us out as well. And then if you got any show ideas or you want to be on the show, you can hit us up at amongtheashes@yahoo.com, or you can shoot us a direct message on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, all searchable by Among the Ashes Podcasts. And I want to give a shout out, as usual, to our official show sponsors, Hometown Auto Sales there in Jasper. You guys go by and see JJ. Again, it's not a paid placement in any kind of way. He's just a good dude, and he's helped me out. And Bolton's Garage, you guys go hit them up as well. They're there in Jasper. Got any automotive needs? Anything you need serviced, go check them out. And if you need a new vehicle, I think it's hometowntrucks.com, I think is the name of the website. But you can find all that information down in the show notes. Reach out to them, tell them that Wes and Marcus over at Among the Ashes Podcast sent you. And I can't promise you he'll give you a good deal, but I can promise you you're going to laugh a whole lot. You're going to have a good time while you're talking to him. So
he'll work with you.
Yeah, he's a good dude, man. He's a good dude. So what's been on the agenda? What have you been doing?
Same old, working.
Yeah,
that's about it. Staying on the road.
You like the new job?
Yeah, it's different from what I've always done or what I've been doing in the past 12 years, I guess. Just being on the road, same old. I'm driving, but
yeah,
getting used to the routine and being gone from the family, being on the road. It takes some getting used to, but it's all good.
Yeah, I don't know if I could do it. I don't know as much about being away from the family and all sucks, but I don't know if I could sleep in a truck.
There comes a point, and I was telling Kyle this probably after my first week out on the road. There comes a point where it's just like you're nervous, you think about that, and it's like, man, I can't sleep in this truck. There comes a point when your body says, hey,
you're gonna sleep.
I'm done.
Yeah, it's gonna happen.
I don't care what you're doing. I'm shutting down. So
yeah,
you get used to it.
Well, you know me, man. I'm too scary, right? I'm thinking about Bigfoot or whatever is going to come knocking on the door in the middle of the night, and it's probably just some lot lizard, and you're trying to get rid of her. But
no, that heater stays right there by my head.
Yeah. Well, at least they allow that. You know what I mean? It would definitely it would take some getting used to, I guess, for me. But anything's doable. We're men, right?
That's right.
Yeah, you just man up and do it.
To listen to the podcast out on the road.
Yeah.
Shout out to you guys. Sharpen Up. That was a good podcast.
Yeah.
Appreciate you guys being on.
Yeah, Art and Tyler, man, they're good dudes. They actually want us to come out at some point. They record on Wednesdays. I know that may be tough for you, but we'll try to get it scheduled and worked up. But really good dudes. This is this will be on a week after, but this Sunday. So this episode will air Thursday after the Sunday that I'm talking about. We have our men's breakfast at church. So I think Art's going to come out and hang out with us and that morning. So just good dude, Tennessee fan. You know,
man, I wanted to be here so daggum bad.
You know, man, it was so funny because we had talked about, hey, come in your gear, right? Like dress up. So, you know, and you and I had talked. I said, you know, if whether we win or lose, I'm not going to wear Alabama gear, but I'm going to pull it out, you know. And he got here, and you could tell he didn't want to talk about it. You know what I mean? And
it was funny. I was like, searching for like Alabama fight songs and stuff like that, and I finally found like the Alabama cheer, defensive cheer, or Rammer Jammer, and I said, dang, there it is right there, and I sent it to Wes. I was like, man, I hope they're still recording, and he gets this while they're recording, you know.
Yeah, I played Yay Alabama,
but I
wanted
to give it to him for real.
So, and I guess you saw it in the podcast, and it wasn't planned, but you know, we got it going, and I pulled some pictures of some posts he posted, you know, Tennessee my fitty, whatever, you know. And he said, but man, I can't lie. He said, because had Tennessee won, I was going to be thumping Rocky Top when I pulled down your driveway.
You knew you would have.
I said, I fully expected it. And then Keegan come in, needed Candace's key, and I didn't stop recording or whatever. I was going to cut it out, but it was so perfect. He was like, you know, hey, I'm Keegan, I'm Art, I'm Tyler. And nice to meet you. And as Keegan was walking out, he said, Roll Tide. And they were like, oh, you playing that? I was like, no, I didn't. That's just my kids.
Roll Tide?
Yeah, it's just my kids. So, speaking of Roll Tide, big game this weekend, LSU.
Yes, sir.
I know this will be airing after the LSU game. I hope Alabama comes out on top. I hope we don't see the curse of the fired coach.
Well,
that's the case. We got two games coming.
It's going to be a good game. You got LSU just fired the coach. Alabama had a terrible game. I mean, we had a off week this last week, but just a terrible showing.
I don't know what happened.
Like, you know,
we can't play on the road.
Well, back in the day, we always said this too. Even when Saban was there, it's like we always play down to the team.
Yeah.
It don't matter. We can play a great game against Texas or whoever, you know, a great game, and then we go to Louisiana Monroe and we play like crap.
Yeah.
And it's like, just go in and destroy those guys and let's get to the next week, you know?
Yeah, I don't get it. I don't understand it. And again, I you know, the X's and O's of football, I'm not an expert on by any means, but there's certain things that's like, what are y'all doing?
It's like, are you looking past them trying to get to the next game or I don't know.
And South Carolina was one of those teams like you definitely couldn't look past. I mean, they were good last year, and you know, they looked a little off, but their quarterback went down. And that's when they looked a little off. Had he not went down, they very well might have been undefeated going into that game, you know. And definitely a good team, and not to be looked down upon in any kind of way. But I wonder how we're going to do against LSU. I know LSU's going to be ready. It is at Alabama. Thank God it's not in Death Valley.
That's always a good game.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good game. Be interesting to see. Roll Tide. So, and then you know you got Auburn firing Hugh Freeze and Vandy playing Auburn this week at Auburn. As much as I dislike Diego, I don't know who I dislike more, Diego Pavia or Auburn.
Or Auburn.
Yeah, it's a close one for
Auburn.
me. Yeah, no, I think it's Diego. I think it's Diego. You know, a big part of me wants to see Vandy go all the way because I'd like to see them in the playoffs. I really would see how they would stack up against some teams outside the SEC, and
I'd like to see them get destroyed.
Yeah. Well, if they make it to the playoffs, I don't want that to happen because of all the trash talk that you hear. I got into I won't call it an argument, a heated discussion with an Ohio State fan, and you know, the SEC sucks. And it's like, bro, we got 9 of the top 25 teams in the AP poll right now. Well, you know, polls lie. I said, you're absolutely right. They do because every year Notre Dame gets a pass. Ohio State's in it. You know,
yeah.
And not taking away from State.
Schedules friggin' every year.
I'm not taking away from Ohio State at all. They are good. Who have they played?
No.
Who have they played?
OH.
You know, we'll see against Michigan, their only real game. Indiana is a one-and-done team. It's a one-and-done thing this year. I mean, same as, you know, Cincinnati. I know they're, I think, at 25, but those teams, it's like it's not. I know the playing field has been leveled with NIL. It really has in a lot of ways. But people, the SEC's done. Alabama's done.
No way.
Well, I mean, I don't see Alabama's being done. We had the one poor showing with Florida State. You play that game 2 out of 3 times, Alabama wins it. And then, a couple close games here and there throughout the season, but I still think Alabama is still, and again, I'm not trying to be a biased fan, y'all. I'm not trying to be. I'm trying to be an honest fan here. But Alabama is still one of the best teams in the nation.
Oh, absolutely.
And it is what it is.
Just work and keep getting better toward the end of the season.
Yeah.
Get your stride and let's go.
I'd rather take that L in the beginning of the season than at the
absolutely.
end, and I would rather take that L with the schedule that we have as to be undefeated with the schedule that the Big Ten has.
Yeah.
But, I'm just an SEC guy. What do I know? So Roll Tide. All right, so we'll see. Maybe we're cursing them right now by doing all this talking before the game, right?
Maybe
Well, man, let's get into the episode tonight. We've got some longtime friends with us in the studio today. Big brother, little brother, kind of like us, in a lot of ways. Not as good looking.
No.
But,
No.
I'd like to say they're close, but they're not. They're not. But, their mamas and daddies loved them. I mean, that's all that really matters, I guess. How could you not love this head right here? Double stuff in the house. What's going on, guys?
What's up?
How's it,
guys?
Kendall and Kody Beck with us. Kendall in the green shirt, Kody in the black, as we call him, Doublestuff. How you guys been?
Oh, good.
Good. Just like Marcus said, just working.
Yeah.
Making it.
Well, just so you know, we are on a podcast, and it requires talking. So when I ask you a question, good is not the answer. Elaborate on what good means. So we've known each other 20 years?
At least,
Probably.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I was probably 13 or 14 the first time I ever met you when you were doing with the disciples. You came and done some stuff for a youth revival.
Yeah.
So
it would be.
Be close to 25.
I've been,
yeah.
28 years. 28 years since I've given my heart to Jesus at 18. I'm 46. I'll be 47 in January. So 28 years this year. So probably 25 years.
Yeah.
Every bit of it. I see our dad took the full-time pastoring job at Dora in the first,
February of 98.
Yeah, February of 98. And, and so I was 11. I was turning 12 like 2 weeks later when we got here.
That's crazy.
So maybe a year after that, ever how long that's been, that's, feels like ages ago.
Yeah. It's crazy to think how quickly time moves.
Man,
Tell me about it. Yeah. I knew you before all that gray.
Yeah.
Before the beard.
Sure.
Both of you before the beard.
Yeah, sure. We all had hair.
Yeah, I was about to say, I had hair at that time.
Yeah, we all had hair.
I would say I was much smaller then, but,
I don't think so, man. I really don't. Like, it really, when I saw you at the men's conference at Dilworth a couple weeks ago, like, I had to do a double take. It was like, is that Kendall? Is that Kody?
Slim.
Both of them slimmed up. So,
Yeah.
man, both of you look good, working hard. So, what are you doing? Like,
I had some health complications, almost borderline stroke, November 3rd of last year. Saw some doctors and everything. Saw a doctor that actually knew my dad, took care of my dad. He knew his health complications, and he was like, hey, you're kind of tracking that same path. And when did your dad take his last breath? And I was like, well, he was 54 years old. He's like, okay, and you're how old? And at the time I was 38. He's like, well, you could have that many more years. And I've got, a small child, and I've got 3 other kids. I got 4 total and a wife, and, somebody's got to, take care of him,
Right.
So I was like, oh, man, but I started looking at it. I was like, man, realistically, 15 more years? Are you serious? And I was like, no, something's got to change. Like I just, I had always said, I've told my family, wife, best friends, I'd always told them, hey, I'm not going to be that big going into my 40s. I'm not going to do it, And I'm a huge procrastinator. and procrastinated. But when, that happens, and the night it happened, I actually went over to Mom's house. We were all eating supper over there, and I'd had this terrible, terrible headache. And Cambry, my youngest child, she's like 10 at the time, and she's a daddy's girl, so she's with me everywhere. And Mom said, "Have you ever thought about, I took Tylenol, I took ibuprofen, Goodies powder. This headache would not go away." And Mom said, "Let me check your blood pressure. And we checked it, and it was just like, couldn't even read it on a regular cuff.
Yeah.
She's like, "Why don't you just go to the after hours and see what they say?" And Cam, of course, was with me. We go over there, and they start talking about, "Hey, I don't know if you probably are going to end up going to the emergency room. You're on stroke. You're close to having a stroke right now." And it was making sense to me, and I was like, "Oh man, I can't believe I've let myself get to this point." But when I looked over in the corner and I saw my baby girl just bawling her eyes out and just crying, scared to death, it took me back to 2014 at St. Vincent's Hospital, and knowing I seen that same fear and look in her eyes that I seen in myself when my dad was laying there, and went into a bathroom, and just the realization of, hey, we're gonna have to say goodbye.
Yeah.
And looking at that, looking at myself in that mirror over there, crying and just feeling helpless that your hero's laying there like there's nothing. And he did neglect his health to a certain degree. I'm not saying that, not knocking on him or anything like that, because his main priority was being the pastor. Mm-hmm. And, just seeing that, I saw that in her eyes, and I was like, something's got to change. Like, I can't go out like this. Yeah. I've got to fight. I want to walk her down the aisle. I've got another daughter that's older than her, Mackenzie. I've got to walk them down. I want to be able to escort my wife down the aisle at our son's weddings. And, I was like, something's got to change. Yeah. And I just went from there. And I really realized how much food I was really taking in, and what I was taking in, how many times I was eating a day, what I was snacking on, wasn't going to the gym, wasn't doing anything but scrolling on my phone or sitting on the couch. And I started realizing the more I got into trying to cut back and stuff like this and get active and everything, I started realizing, man, I kind of robbed the three oldest ones of having an active dad, a physically fit dad, doing stuff with them, playing with them and stuff like that. I really realized how much I robbed them, because I remembered, hey, there was times where Dad just didn't feel like it, couldn't get out there and shoot basketball, couldn't get out there and throw the ball. And that means the world to a son, especially.
Sure.
And for the girls, it was just being out in the yard playing with them or taking them to the park and everything. I was like, and the more I have lost, the more active I've gotten around the house and stuff like that. I've really realized, like, man, I really robbed them three older ones. And I started feeling like a big hypocrite, more so in my life, I guess, in the past couple years. I felt like a hypocrite. Like, man, I'm telling them to get in church. I'm telling them to follow God. Marcus's son, when I did for a short stint, was a youth pastor. His son was there. And I talked to him recently at the men's conference. Him and Zach, man, it didn't break my heart, but it made me so proud. But it did kind of break my heart when they were like, "We thank you so much for pouring into me." And it's like, what? I got to thank you guys, because I preach to you every Wednesday night, every chance I could, is never give up. Put your faith and trust in the Lord. He'll never forsake you. Everybody around you is going to forsake you, but you keep on doing that, and everything's going to work out. And I said, and as an example, y'all looked up to me, and as an example, I got my feelings hurt and just ran away from God altogether.
Sure.
And so I was like, man, so the Lord really had been dealing with me about being a hypocrite. You can't be a hypocrite. How can I tell my daughters, how can I tell my sons, hey, it's important to you can't be eating all this junk. You do need to get in the gym, or you do need to go outside. It's great for mental. How can I tell them to do all that when, I'm almost 400 pounds and I'm always sitting on a couch or laying in the bed,
Right. Right.
It was kind of one of those things. And, I was like, well, being a man, you got to lead by example.
Sure.
And for the past, I don't know, I guess maybe since my dad has passed away, you know, I've always wondered, like, you know, what is a man? How do you be a man? Because I haven't felt like a man.
Sure.
I was like, man, you know, when I was younger, I thought it's the first time you hook up with a girl. No. It make me feel, you know, okay, when I hold my child, I'll definitely, you know, that didn't happen. When I got that big boy job, you know, or got married, and it was like I'm hitting all these milestones and I'm still not feeling like a man, you know, and it's like, you know, how can you tell them to man up, or how can you tell your girls to, you know, this is, and your daughters, both of you have daughters, your daughters, I've always heard this, and I learn it more and more as the years go by, as the kids get older, is, hey, they're going to seek a husband eventually, and it's probably going to be modeled after you. Mm-hmm. So do I want them to find just a out of shape, fat, lazy dude that doesn't want to do anything with her or the kids or anything like that? Or do I want them to find physically fit, you know, takes care of them physically, takes care of them, you know, spiritually, mentally, financially, all the ways that you're supposed to?
Sure.
And that really hit home with me. And that's been my big drive and motivation. Started the journey at 349, and as of this morning, I'm down to 244.
Wow, that's crazy. Over 100 pounds. I guess I shouldn't have told him that talking on a podcast is just not saying yeah. When he opened up, he opened up. No, you're good, man. I'm just joking. So in a lot of ways, my path and your path, Kendall, kind of mirror each other. Without getting into a whole lot, but we both experienced some hurt and went through some things. We're both youth pastors and 4 kids and married and trying to make it. And that's kind of been my whole thing. You know, weight is not something that I've ever really struggled with. You know, I fluctuate between 215, you know, up and down, up and down. I went to the doctor. I don't know. It's probably been a month now, 3 weeks ago, and I was at 222, which is the heaviest I've ever been, you know, and it's really got me thinking, like, you know, my dad died. He was 46 years old, massive heart attack, which he was drug user, alcoholic, smoked every day, overweight, you know, whole 9 yards. But then Marcus and I's grandfather was 65-ish, 62, somewhere in there, and he had a massive heart attack, and he lived another probably 10 years or so, but you know, it was struggle the whole time for him. He just wasn't the same, you know. And so here lately, on the journey I'm on as far as becoming a man or trying to become a man, you know, because like you said, you hit all those milestones and you think, you know, I'm a man, I'm a husband, I'm a dad. I go to work every day. I do all these things. One thing I feel like the Lord has really been laying on my heart lately is you're a lazy lush. All you do is lay around, you know. And you said some things, you know, about your kids. I remember when, you know, Keegan's 21, when he was up till about 10 probably, you know, we were outside every day throwing a ball. Now, I was 25 to 30, you know, 35, not 46. But I think about Cullen at 14, you know what I mean? I'm definitely not out there with him as much, you know. He plays a lot of Xbox. I lay on the couch, you know, and so those are some things that I feel like the Lord has just really been driving home to me as well. And I think that's a big part of it. You know, we ask everybody that comes on the show, what do you think a man is? Or you know, what is a man? And there's no right or wrong answer, but you keyed in on a lot of things right there that I feel like are part of becoming a man. You know, whether you're married or whether you have kids or not, there's certain things that we need to do as men, you know, and we need to get back to, I'm not saying we got to go out and hunt our dinner and eat raw liver, right? You know what I mean? I'm not saying we need to know how to break it down a big block Chevy and put it back together, you know, but there are things that we should do, or should be capable of doing, with just a little bit of research. Does that make sense? You know, you know, it shouldn't be one of these things that are just absolutely foreign to us and we don't want to figure it out. And that's one thing I've been trying to teach Keegan. There's been, you know, some little things with his vehicle lately. Fan was running hot the other day, and I was like, "If you check the coolant," and he's like, "Well, I don't know." Like, well, that's my fault because I haven't taught you. You know.
Oh yeah.
He come in last night and his tire was low. He stopped, put air in it, and I needed to borrow his truck this morning. He's like, hey, check that tire. So I got home and there was a nail in it, but like he would have just kept putting air in it.
Yeah.
You know, no, I need to teach you what to look for and how to look for it. And I'm not telling you that you need to be able to break this vehicle down and be able to put it back together.
Right.
But there are basic things we need to know as men that ultimately fall on us, you know, as responsibility. You know, I don't know how to fix the AC unit here, but I need to know how to at least troubleshoot and figure out who I need to call or if I need to call somebody. You know what I mean? Just little things like that. So we can talk more about that in a minute. Doublestuff.
What's going on, guys?
What have you done on your journey, man?
So my journey really just 4 years ago when I started at the company I'm at now, TSI. I was at my biggest. I was at 418, and I weighed last weekend, and I'm at 260 now.
Wow.
Bro,
And you know, it's been a long, hard one, but you just staying steady. Now it's to the point I eat 1 meal a day, and kind of like my brother was talking, you know, growing up in church, especially, every occasion
Revolves
church
around
gets
food, right?
Revolves around food.
Yeah.
So it was your whole life was church. Well, your whole life's gonna evolve around food essentially, and you know, just I loved it.
Yeah.
I do. I still do.
Yeah, right.
I mean, food tastes really, really good. You know, it's always going to, but you know, just I've never been happy with myself. You know, even as a young kid, just, and a lot of it's mental. You know, my mental health really deteriorated, and just trying to get it back one day at a time.
Yeah.
Trying to get a life back. You know, I'm 35, and just, you know, I've got my whole life ahead of me.
Sure.
And I was cutting it short.
Sure.
You know, just everything that bothered me, I ran to food. And now it's, you got to find ways to cope instead of just stuffing yourself.
Yeah.
Because you're killing yourself. And it's a vicious cycle.
Yeah.
And it's one that you have to break. And, you know, like you said, I don't have kids, but I have nieces and nephews.
And he's available, ladies.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say, ladies. Doublestuff. You ain't gonna meet a kinder, gentler heart out there than old Kody Beck.
I appreciate it.
Biggest head too in the world, but
It
you know.
is. It is.
I know he's like, I'm gonna kill him.
No. You know, and I always joked I had to grow into my head.
Yeah, well, like what is it, like a 10 and 7/8 you wear, something like that? You know what I mean? Did they even make
It's
that?
not quite. It's not quite that big.
I know he can't find one at Lids. That's for sure.
Yeah, lids. I've never.
Y'all know the big bucket hats that they wear? That's like a normal hat for Kody.
Yeah. And one thing that's always really got me, one size does not fit all. Can we just say that? Can we just stop printing that and stitching it on the inside of a hat?
I have a flex fit hat hanging on the wall behind you right there that is one size fits all. If you can put it on and wear it, I'll give you $100.
I'll get it on. It's going to leave indentions. I will make it work.
Big head, big brain, right?
Yeah. Not utilizing the big brain then. No. Yeah, it's just one day at a time.
Yeah.
You know, got to stop making excuses. And that was one thing. I always had an excuse for everything. You know, oh, I'm hurt. They didn't like me. You know, I didn't get the job. I, you know, didn't get to go on that vacation like I wanted to. And just, you know, you get to a point where you start looking for excuses. You really do. And that's one thing I've had to learn and realize now. It's,
Yeah.
you got to find an excuse to actually man up,
Yeah.
you know, and start putting your foot forward. And as long as you're going forward, yeah, you may stumble, you may fall, but that's life.
Yeah.
Everybody does, you know. And so that's just,
You know, for me, like, which everybody who watches the podcast probably gets tired of me talking about this, but last October, it's been a year for me that I just woke up spiritually, and if you would have told me, 14 years ago that I would have ever said I'm done with Jesus, I'd have said you're a fool. There's no way,
Oh yeah.
But everything that you two have hit on today is exactly where I was at. You know what I mean? I just given up. It's life had just got hard, and it's not that anything in my life was bad. You know what I mean? Like I'm extremely blessed, but mentally, I just couldn't get past that. Whatever it was, you know what I mean? Whatever just kept driving that every single day. And it became a point to where I looked for that. That's where I found comfort, was in that depression or in that poor, pitiful me or whatever, And, I thank God that, because, I was going to end my life. I was there, you know what I mean? And I told the Lord, I said, something's got to change. And if it doesn't, I'm not going to be here, And, this stupid gnat was here last week. I don't know why it won't go away. Maybe it's following me around. But maybe I stink. Yeah, should take a shower. But it was sit out at the head of your table, open your Bible, you'll find me. And honestly, I expected everything to change right then. It didn't. But it did at the same time. Like I woke up the next day and felt different, and every day since then has been different. I've had bad days, but I haven't had a bad day, if that makes sense, and it's a mentality shift, and I accredit it all to Christ. You know what I mean? Everybody else may not. Mental toughness, whatever you want to call it. I attribute that to Jesus, but, at some point you just got to look yourself in the eye and just say, hey, look, you are worth something and you can be something, and you have to do something different,
Speak life.
Yeah, instead of death,
Yeah. And you speak life into everybody else, but yet still speak death to yourself.
Yes.
That was me.
Yeah, 100%.
And I had the thought yesterday, if I'm so unworthy, why did God create me?
Right.
He called me worthy. I got to be worth it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
100%.
100%.
And it's growing up in church, there's a stigmatism around mental health.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then you add in being a man. We don't talk about it.
Yeah.
We really don't.
Well, who's going to listen?
Nobody.
Who cares?
Yeah.
Right.
Nobody.
Right.
Man's going through something. Nobody
know,
cares.
no.
You know what I mean?
No.
And I hate to say that it does feel
Until
that
they're
way.
gone.
Yeah.
Until they're gone.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
And it does feel that way in a lot of ways. Right.
It does.
But in all honesty, it's really not that way.
Right.
Because if you can get past that, and look, that stigma, I feel like is, well, nobody cares, nobody's going to listen, this, that, and the third is my wife doesn't listen, my mom doesn't listen,
Right.
the people that I care about don't listen, but there are other men out there that you can call brother that will listen because they know.
Right.
They're
And
right
they
there.
get it.
Yeah, they get it. They're right there with it. And the more that I find on this journey that I've been on, the more I pursue it, the more I find men struggling the same way. It's not just me.
No.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yeah.
And shame on us and phooey on us for not talking about it because naturally we're men, right? We don't want anybody to know we're struggling.
Right.
We got to be
gotta be
tough.
tough.
That's
That's the key word there. And sometimes being tough is saying, "Hey, I'm broken."
Yep.
And I think that's a big reason why Christ surrounded himself. I know there were women, that followed him too, and I know we can get into it was a male-driven society, and that's why the Bible's written that way, this, that, and the third. But I think Christ surrounded himself with broken men, so that he could show them how to help others to heal as well.
Right.
And we don't see that example so much as we see Peter the Rock. Well, we don't see everything that Peter struggled with to become the rock.
Sure.
Right.
We don't really understand why Jesus is calling him the rock. He's calling him the rock because Peter didn't feel like he was the rock. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You are. Listen to what I'm saying. You are. Get it in your head and believe that. And I think that if more men would grab life like you two have done, like you're talking about, grab life like we have done and say, hey, I'm going to make some changes. It's not instant.
No.
And that's one thing, I've told my wife is, and other people too, is nobody else may see that I'm different, but I'm different.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
I feel different.
Right.
I think different.
Well, I think it's like something Kendall touched on a while ago, we're all men and we've had all these milestones and all this stuff that we go through and that we accomplish, and we might not feel worthy of it, or we might not feel fulfilled.
Yeah.
But that's something that God's revealed to me, is purpose. Even though you struggled in the desert for 15 years, didn't mean you didn't still have a purpose.
Right.
You know what I mean? Just because I felt like I didn't have any direction in my life didn't mean God didn't have a purpose for me.
That's right.
Just because you went through hurt didn't mean God didn't have a purpose for you. And I don't want to thank you personally, like you said a while ago, about pouring into my son's life. I didn't realize my purpose until I seen him in church.
Yeah.
Seeing my son in church, and I would get pictures from Matt. You know, he'd be playing drums, and man, you ought to see Kyle and them just worshiping. Till I went and seen him preach his first service. Yeah. Man, I was so convicted I couldn't even look at him. But I mean, I was so proud. You know what I mean? Yeah. But going through all that and seeing that, God revealed to me, He's going to need somebody, Marcus.
Yes.
He's going to need you to back him up, to pray for him, to cover him in prayer. And then I realized how much I had been slacking. I love my son. I've been so proud of him from the day he was born. You know what I mean? But have I always done the right thing by him? No, I didn't. You know what I mean? Wanting to be his buddy, hang out, tell him dirty jokes, and him and his buddies. You know what I mean? Yeah. I shouldn't have been doing that. I should have been covering him in prayer. I should have been being the example of a godly man in front of him. You know what I mean? Right. Yeah. Now, has he seen that? Sure. Has he seen it like he should have? No. You know, and that's on me.
Thank God for grace in the fact that He covers us in those moments of weaknesses.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And our families, you know, Keegan and I work together now, and we talk a lot back and forth to work. And it's like, you know, I haven't been the example. I mean, you know, we've just started in the last month and a half family Bible study. I mean, he's 21 years old. Yeah. I'm a friggin' preacher. Yeah. And I haven't had Bible study with my family, you know? Yeah. And last weekend, it's every Sunday. We do it every Sunday. We'll plan on 5:30, but if it needs to change, we'll change. Well, of course, they're dating and things come up, and they all had something they had to do, and time kept changing. Well, I got pissed, and I was like, you know what? I'm trying to do what I'm supposed to do as a leader of this family. Yeah. And I told y'all, this is what we are doing. I'm allowing y'all to pick the time, but this is what we're doing. Well, can we do it right after church? No, I don't want to do it right after church because I just taught Sunday school. I just sat through an hour worth of church. Yeah. I'm in a food coma. I'd like to have an hour or two to rest, even though y'all have 1,000 things going. Y'all know this is coming up, and I was so angry about it. And I got to thinking on Monday at work, it's like, you should have just done it anyway, you know? And me and Keegan got talking. I was like, look, I'm sorry that I'm not a good example. And he's like, Dad, honestly, he said, I know you've gone through some stuff, but like, I couldn't ask for a better dad. Yeah, wow. I couldn't ask for a better spiritual example. Awesome. And it's like, well, you don't know me very well, you know, like you think you do, you know? So thank God that in those moments when we haven't stepped up and been the spiritual leader that we've needed to be for our kids, that God has covered us. And then, and it's all about timing, in my opinion, too, right? Sure. Like, I think, you know,
I absolutely think the Lord equipped us for this time right here.
Sure. And could we have learned it before? Sure. Yeah, absolutely. But
think of how much further along we would be.
Right. Yeah. Right. And you know, phooey on us for not stepping into that role sooner. But at the same time, there's an appointed time for everything. I believe every moment of my life has brought me to sitting in this chair today. Mm-hmm. You know,
absolutely.
And whether it be good, whether it be bad, it's brought me to where I'm at, and it's made me the man that I am. The difference is you can be the man life makes you, or you can be the man that God intended for you to be in this life. Yeah. And there's a big difference there. You can still be a good man. You can still do the right things, but mentally you're going to struggle. For me,
it goes back to purpose.
Yeah. Yeah. finding that purpose and realizing that, hey, at the end of the day, it's me and God.
Yep.
You know, I mean, I can't control anything.
Right.
So stop trying to fix it and just let him be him and follow him and do what he wants you to do. You know, control what you can control, which is very little, but the sooner I realize that I've got him and he's with me in every situation, the better off I am. And that's not being a Bible thumper. That's not being somebody who's preaching on the side of the road and somebody everybody needs to look to as, hey, that guy's definitely going to make it to heaven. Yeah. It ain't about all that. It's just about being consistent.
Yes.
You know?
Right.
And I think that's the one thing we fail at as men. So let's back up. Your dad was a huge influence in my life. From the time we met him and up until the time he died, like I could see Randy out and there was always a conversation, right? And not just a, hey, how you doing? Let's catch up for 5 minutes. Oh crap, I got to go. We've been here too long. Conversation, you know. I would say, in my personal opinion, watching you two struggle the way I've seen over the last 20 years, I guess, the battles you fought seem to have started at his passing. Would y'all agree with that?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, you both would. So let's back up further than that. What was it like growing up with Randy Beck?
Man, that's you had texted me about the podcast, and the question you said was, what was it like being in Randy Beck's shadow?
Mm-hmm. Let's get there. I mean, I don't want to deter your answer there because I'm going to ask that question too. Yeah. But, well, just go ahead.
Just being. I mean, he cast a large shadow.
Not because he was a big man.
Not because, and he was a big man, but not.
But he was a big man.
He was. Everybody in the
everybody
community
loved him.
Still to this day, I run into people wherever we go in the surrounding areas. Sometimes even in Birmingham. And they'll see me and be like, wow, you look just like your dad. You have to be Randy Beck's son. Yes. You know, he meant so much, you know, just he affected so many lives in East Walker County, in this area. And still to this day, half those people, I don't know who they are. But you were just always in that preacher's kid, Brother Beck's son shadow. And Kody would agree, like, you couldn't spit wrong.
Yeah.
When we were growing up, and him not whether he was around or wasn't around, like he had, like, you know,
it was always little birdie told me, little birdie told me, Jesus told me,
yeah.
You start to realize as you get older, it's every church member, every person that knew your dad, or if they saw you anywhere, your dad's the first call,
right?
And whether you're with their kids or not.
Yeah, exactly.
So do y'all think that helped you growing up or hindered you?
A little of both. I mean,
definitely both.
It helped you a little bit as the fact that you kind of had to watch what you were doing to a certain extent, but I always felt kind of fake growing up, especially in my teenage years when I did want to be rebellious. It was like kind of felt fake because you couldn't really be yourself out in public, or you had to really be careful what kid you hung around.
Right. And I would say, as far as both of you, like watching you grow up and interacting with you guys in your teenage years, y'all weren't the quintessential pastor's kids. You know, pastor's kids are usually pretty bad. They're usually, I don't know. Well, and maybe it was just hidden very well, you know. But you know,
he really. I thought you knew us for 25
years. Right. Your quintessential pastor's kids, you know, a lot of men up on drugs, they end up alcoholics. They're divorced. They're this, that, and the third. But while I'm not saying you guys didn't do your dirt, right? You never really heard anything bad about Randy Beck's kids, you know, which I think is a testament to who he was as a pastor, but also who he was as a father.
Oh, absolutely.
You know,
definitely.
I know plenty of pastors' kids that their pastor's doing, or their father is doing everything they can to keep the congregation from finding out about how bad their kid is.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And you see that. And we would go to youth camps.
They throw their money around,
like
you know.
And again, you know, I didn't spend every waking moment with you guys, but like I never really heard bad things about Kendall and Kody. You know what I mean? You would hear things, but it wasn't like Oh yeah, it doesn't blow my mind. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I can't.
Just
I
being
can't
kids.
honestly think of anything that would have been considered. What's the word I'm looking for? Bad. I mean, I'm looking for another word,
Scandalous.
but scandalous.
Yeah.
That's a good word.
Yeah.
I can't think of anything ever. That I've ever heard about you guys growing up. I mean, so I can imagine it was tough being a pastor's kid.
It
Well, he
was.
preached all the time to us. Like anytime we got in trouble or anything we done, he would also hammer home the fact, hey, listen, it says if a man can't control his house, he can't be a shepherd. He can't control a congregation.
Yeah.
How am I supposed to speak to
How can I lead a church?
how can I lead a church if I can't leave my home? So, and it was the good part was of what a great spiritual example that our dad was.
Very much so.
Any problem you took to him, he had scriptures to back it up. And another good part was I can't tell you how many times I have walked into a job and put my name on it, and they might not know, and they see that last name Beck. Are you Randy Beck's son? Yeah, and they gave me a shot.
Yeah.
Even the job I'm at now, was because of a person that has a lot of influence at that plant who was under his ministry. Knew what type of person he was. Now, yes, he knew that I could work and I was worth a shot, but it all kind of came back. I thought about it the other day.
Randy's son.
Yeah, if our dad hadn't have took that church and hadn't have been the man he was and led that church the way he did, those people wouldn't have came. Those people left from a Methodist church to come to a Pentecostal church, and that's kind of crazy sometimes when you start thinking about people. But because of who our dad was, and so he built that relationship. So that many years down the road, when my family needed me to get a really good paying job and go to work and really make a good living for them, I was able to call it, hey, y'all have any openings at that point? Yeah, man, come by. I barely put my name on the application. I had a job.
Yeah.
That was the good part. And, there was the bad part was we grew up in a glass house.
Yeah.
Everybody
knew.
Everybody knew.
If we got in trouble, the whole church knew.
Yeah. We were, we were, and not that Dad would go and make examples of us from the pulpit. I mean, he did
To a degree.
talk to a degree, but it wasn't to persecute us or ridicule us or anything like that. But everybody, we lived in a parsonage. We were always like, hey, look, you can't do this to the house. We can't, be punching a bunch of poster holes in the wall. Because what if they ask us to leave Monday morning? That's the way he always felt like, hey, you guys mess up. They don't like us. We're out of here.
Yeah.
We're looking for
All
somewhere
they
else
have
to
to
go.
do is say, hey, we want a different pastor.
Because he
Yeah.
had a best friend got done that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And,
Well,
and he saw that, not being able to, like, I can remember as a kid asking, can I change the color in my room? Can we paint it? Just do something.
Yeah.
No, it's,
Yeah, we got to prove it through the
we got
deacons.
to go through the
Yeah.
deacons.
Yeah.
And that church loved our dad. Door Church of God
Yeah.
loved
Yeah,
our dad. So they
100%.
let him do,
Yes.
but that's
Yes.
just the top mentality
That was
he
the
had.
mentality he had.
We
Yeah.
wasn't going to do anything to this house until we approved it the right way.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And I don't see anything wrong with that. I can honestly say the few times we would come over and have dinner or whatever, we'd do something at the church, and Brother and Sister Beck would always invite us over to eat. One thing that I did see with him was Randy Beck at church, and then there was Randy Beck at home.
Yeah.
Not that he ever stopped, not that he ever put his faith on the back burner or his example on the back burner. But it's like I tell my kids, we see right now, just in Jefferson County in general, over the last 3 months, there's been a couple of tragedies. There was the wreck here with the boys, boys here, and then the shooting there in Pinson, and I forgot what I was going to say. I forgot where I was going. What were we talking about? Oh,
Randy being
yeah.
Randy.
So Randy being Randy. I'm sorry, guys. One thing I've always told my kids is you can have Wes if you need Wes, or you can have Dad.
Yeah.
You're always going to get Dad.
Yeah.
But I would rather you call and need Wes come pick you and your buddies up
Yeah.
as to have to go through what's going through, what's happening right now.
Yeah.
Not only with the loss of those two boys, but now with the other boy looking at prison time, you know.
His life's lost too.
Yeah.
Nobody walked away from that the same.
You know, and you see all the comments and stuff, and well, he was drinking and driving and speeding. He was. He's a kid.
Yeah.
They all were.
He's a kid. They
And
all made.
I'm not trying to.
And you're exactly right. I know exactly what you're saying. I'm not trying to say that he is right or that he was wrong. Stupid decision, bro.
Yeah.
It was.
You should not have made it.
Yeah.
But had he not made it, one of the other two would have.
Right.
Maybe they would have not wrecked.
Maybe
You
they
know?
were the drivers the weekend before.
Right.
When they were doing the same thing.
Right. And that's something that happened week in and week out with
And that's a
these
decision
kids.
a lot of us have made.
Sure.
And we've done it. My heart breaks for that kid.
Yeah.
And, you know, me and my best friend, we talk about that all the time, you know, especially now that we're fathers. It's like, man, like, we were so
Thank God it
fortunate.
wasn't us.
Thank God, because that was, you
You
know,
really
'cause
realize the grace is
he
sufficient.
couldn't drink at his house. I couldn't drink at my house. So it was, hey,
I've
you
done
know.
way more stupid stuff.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even
It
as
just,
an adult.
you know.
Yeah.
And that's the power of a praying father and mother.
Yeah.
You know, still to this day, you know, my dad, but my mom, I mean, it covers me and him. Like I'm driving a truck, and it's still got
A dum-dum.
it's got like dum wrappers where she's prayed over, taped to the thing. I still have prayer cloths that she
Under my
prayed
bed.
over under our bed and stuff like that. You know,
Randomly in her
covering, you know.
vehicle, be cleaning your truck.
And so when I
find
see a
prayer
lot of
cloth.
these kids,
I know I didn't put it there.
Yeah. Yeah.
when I see a lot of these kids getting busted, not just kids, even now, like as an adult, I still have done stupid decisions. I see people that I've done the same thing, that the consequences are just, you know, life changing for them. It's like, man, at the time you're like, gosh, I wish they wouldn't pray that way, pray that hard. Like, leave me alone. Like, why do you always have, you know, always want Jesus, you know, but I start thinking about, man, like, I have an OD. I'm not in prison.
Yeah.
You know, I've not, you know, there's not huge scandals about me on the internet and stuff like that.
Right.
And, you know, so you really start thinking that, okay, God,
Yeah.
you know,
Maybe there was
you know,
something to what they were doing and what they were
Without
teaching
a
us.
doubt. And I mean, in my life, you know, growing up, there was a point I was angry.
Yes.
Why do I have to be a pastor's kid?
Yes.
Why do I have to live like this?
Under the
You
microscope.
know, under a microscope. Why can't I go and be just like my friends?
Yeah.
Their parents didn't care. They let them do whatever they wanted to.
Right.
Now that I'm 35, I can look back and I can count numerous guys that they're no longer here. They're dead.
Yeah.
And those were the guys that I wanted.
Yeah.
Why can't I have parents? And I'm not saying that their parents is the reason that
Sure.
they're dead.
Sure.
By no means. But now that I'm 35, I'm grateful that I was a preacher's kid.
Well, you know,
I'm grateful that I was raised
Covered in
and
prayer.
covered in prayer. And what I thought was unfair and harsh and overbearing, now it's Dad really cared.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
You know,
and
not just as a pastor, but as a
dad,
father.
as a father.
He cared.
Yeah.
And I see that now.
yeah. And I'm not saying that, you know, this accident that happened, that their parents didn't care either. You know what I mean? Because I know some of their parents, and they're good people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yes.
And that was clearly a choice that those young men made. I worked with one of them briefly, and he was a great young man. And I wish I had got to know him better. He introduced himself to me. Hey, you're Kirsten's dad. I was like, yeah, well, hey, I'm Traylon, and I wish I had taken the opportunity. There was multiple times that he would wave or he would speak, and it's like, I should talk to this young man, and I didn't.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm not saying his parents never poured into their lives or anything like that. You know what I mean? But I say all of that to say, even though kids are going to make the decisions that they make, I've always tried to make my kids aware. Hey, I mean, you're going to get dad at some point. You know what I mean? Like, like thunder's coming and lightning's going to strike, but there's a calm before the storm if you need it. And I would rather know you're safe when my storm starts on you than you creating a storm on your own. And I always got that sense from your dad, you know, anytime we were around, and he always treated us like like family. You know what I mean? Like there was never a time, like I say, when I see him out that he didn't stop and talk to me or invite me over or whatever, you know. And of all the pastors that were in the area, excluding, you know, the pastor I sat under, he was one that really truly accepted me as me. You know what I mean? And I was never the quintessential youth pastor. You know what I mean? I had a mohawk and earrings and tattoos, and I'm going to go against what the church has got to saying, because I'm going to be who God called me to be. And Brother Beck always, you know, extended a hand to me. You know, and he was just that person. So I know it was a big shadow to live under. You know what I mean? But I've often wondered, just watching y'all grow and watching y'all walk as young men, how burdensome was it, or how much of a blessing has it been? Yeah. And you probably couldn't see it at the time. You know what I mean?
Yes. Honestly,
the burden part to me was you got daddy and pastor in one.
Yeah.
And it felt like we talked about this, and, you know, I'm sure, looking back now, especially now that I'm a father, I'm sure I could have went to that man and talked to him about anything I was going through. Anything. Mm-hmm. But I also knew everybody under the sun was calling him at all hours of the night. And I seen him try to deal with their problems. And it's like, if I go to him, you know, am I going to put something else on him? But also, like, he's going to kill me if I really tell him what's going on. Right. Like, well, you know, you feel that way. You're like, oh, you know, and he wouldn't have. That's not the type of person he was.
Right. It was almost a fear for me. I don't, you know, but at the same time, now I'm looking back, it was all up here.
Yeah,
it
was. A lot of it was.
And that's, you know,
well,
I have to live with that.
Because he was not a spare the rod, spoil the child.
Sure.
No. I mean, I can remember, I tell guys all the time
But you get it in your head, too. You don't want to be a disappointment to him. Exactly. Bringing what you got, what you're going to bring, is that going to disappoint him?
Yes.
You know what I mean? I really need advice on this, but I don't want to disappoint him either.
Yeah, because he talked so highly. He did talk so highly of me and my brother from the pulpit. Mm-hmm. Like he talked, you know, he talked so highly of us. And you're like, oh, man. You only knew, and I'm sure he probably knew. Looking back at it now, it's like Randy Beck didn't know. Yeah, there's no way he didn't know.
Yeah,
and you know, I just remember just like always thinking, like, man, am I really? He just sat down in the recliner. He just turned the ball game on. You know, one of the other members is going to call him anyway and tell them, hey, our child's doing this, or our child's doing that, or I'm going through this, that. Oh, do I really need to bother? Let the man have some peace, you know?
Well, I think about that a lot too, like stepping away from ministry, you know, the last 14 years. What would it have been like on my kids for me to be in full-time ministry? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And because just the 10 years I was and them growing up, it was constant phone calls. It was constant somebody else's problems, constant, can you help me here? Can you do this there? And I'm not even their pastor. I'm the youth pastor. You know what I mean? Right. So I can't imagine the shoes that a pastor has to fill, number one, as a pastor. Number two, number one as a husband. Number two as a father. Number three as a pastor is the way it should go. Unfortunately, a lot of times that gets flipped. The church comes first, right? Yeah. Because church members are dumb. I said it. Y'all can get mad at me. You can send all your hate messages to amongtheashes@yahoo.com. Address them to Marcus. But church members are dumb, and they seem to think that pastors are superhuman.
Oh, they do.
And that they have nothing else to do but tend to their need in that moment.
And they hold them to a almost holier than thou standard. Yeah. And they're not. They're mortal men.
Yeah, they're human beings.
He had aches and pains, and he had 2 knucklehead kids, and, you know, he had a wife, and, you know, I mean, he wasn't superhuman, but, I mean, you got his best. You got his best whenever, just like you said, no matter what, I mean, you got his best when you approached him with something. He was going to give you his all.
Yeah, he was what he did. He was always constant anytime I interacted with him. I mean, he was the same Randy Beck from the day that I met him to the day that he passed. I mean, he was the same way to me every time I saw him. And people fail to realize that because, like I said, church people are stupid, but sheep are dumb, right?
Right.
They have to be led and done. Right. And please, everybody, don't take offense to that. I say that because I want you to think about what I'm saying.
Right.
you have needs and you have things that you need met and that you need done, but so does he as your pastor
and his wife
and
his
his
kids.
wife and kids. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
you really need to think about how bad is it really? Well, little Susie smarted off to me. We'll go in there and bust her tail and ground her and take her phone from her, something, give her some sort of discipline. Don't burden your pastor with it. Now, if little Susie is pregnant and smoking crack and an alcoholic and she's 12, you might want to burden your pastor with that. You know what I mean? But
And you see that. You not so much, but you
don't see the extreme. You see the non-extreme of some petty something that parents just don't want to deal with.
Right. And you did see the extreme. You've seen the people that have messed up problems reaching out to my dad. And you know, you're like, oh my goodness. Like, they definitely not that he ever took away from us. And I was gonna tell you, Wes, like you said you didn't want to burden your kids with that, because also I always said this, and my mom has said it before. I'm sure he feels the same way. We've talked about it, like, it's your calling, but your family gets caught up in your calling.
Exactly.
They didn't. We didn't ask to be preachers' kids.
That's right.
Sure.
We didn't ask for our dad to take a pastoring job. You know, we didn't ask for that. My mom